Welcome to the 2021 Adrian College State of the College Address titled The College of the Future, a phrase you will be hearing a lot about over the next few years. My name is Jeff Dawkins. I've been the president of Adrian College for over 16 years, and I'm happy to take the next several minutes to provide students, staff, alumni, friends, a true transparent update on where the college stands with respect to the global pandemic, the budget, fundraising, enrollment, academics, facility enhancement and new construction, new majors, athletics, Greek life, and several other things that I think you will find interesting. For those of you who have attended past speeches, the first thing you will notice is that this year's format is very, very different. In the past, we've always featured a series of short speeches by students, local leaders, selected faculty, alumni, and friends to deliver updates and vignettes and creative initiatives and great things happening at Adrian College from the people who've conceived those things and carried them out on campus. And there are many reasons why we structured the speech this way, but the biggest reason in the past is that we know that all successful institutions require a group effort. Neither the president or any other individual can claim any more than a small share of the success of this institution. The same is true every single day this year. Our success over the past year is completely the function of a shared effort and shared sacrifice in the midst of this pandemic. So we have featured employees in the past and students who have gotten things done, but this year, for obvious reasons, it'll just be me. In the interest of safety and of complying with government mandates, we are not amassing hundreds of people in the Adrian Tobias room. This one is through video. You and me. The next thing that many of you may be asking is, why are we talking about the College of the Future in the midst of a global pandemic? Isn't this a time to hunker down, to hope to survive over the next few years? Isn't this a time when other small colleges have been closing and we should just be very, very careful? Shouldn't we lie low, avoid risk, shelter in place, duck and cover, and pause all of our future plans? I believe this would be the worst thing that we could do. It is certainly true that COVID-19 has put a lot of pressure on this college and all colleges across the country. But we have to forge ahead. We cannot slow down. We will continue to create, to move, to risk, to innovate, and live up to the U.S. News distinction as the second most innovative college in America. We also want to take full responsibility for our future, and we believe that standing still is falling behind. And so we don't stand still. It's not in our DNA. It's not who we are. And as long as I'm the president, that's the way that this college will move forward. So let's turn first to the college's response to the COVID-19 crisis. On March 16th of last year, when the state of Michigan announced that all higher education institutions were required to switch to all online learning, nearly every college in Michigan, and yes, the vast majority of colleges in the United States, closed and told all students to return home. They closed their residence halls, they shut down dining services, they ceased fitness operations, they effectively closed everything on campus except for online learning. Many colleges continued to run these with similar restrictions this most recent August and throughout the year. We did not do any of these things. Everything remained open at Adrian College except for in-person classes, which by law we were required to put online. We swam against the current, and we did it because we believed that shutting down was not the answer for us. We firmly believe that students and families are smart enough to make decisions that are right for them. We believe in freedom of choice, of liberty, of the God-given right of every individual to look at the facts, the science of COVID-19, and the situation that is presented to them, and to make decisions that are in their best interest. We believe that this was their right, and so we decided to stay open. Our students and employees looked at the information provided by the CDC and responded accordingly. To our knowledge, as I stand here today, not one person got COVID-19 on this campus last spring when we decided not to close. Our belief in people was well-founded and still is. This belief in self-determination will be a building block of the college of the future. Self-responsibility, accepting the consequences of one's actions, a rejection of victimhood, and the right of every person to make the best decision for their life and their future, consistent with their values, beliefs, religion, and God. I often tell students in my leadership class, we will have the life we choose for ourselves. We are not merely empty vessels at the whim of forces that we have no control over. We are thinking human beings, and our success and failure is the product of the decisions that we make, both good and bad. When we saw how well things worked out last spring, we trusted people. We promised students that we would open again this fall because of how well things went when we gave them the freedom to make their own choices. And so we opened the College of the Future this fall with the promise to students that we would give them as normal a college experience as possible, including in-person classes, sports competitions, student activities, dining services in Ritchie Dining Hall, advising, and all the other things necessary to live on a college campus. We tried to model the lessons that we teach students, the lessons of personal responsibility. Admittedly, a few students decided not to return to campus this fall. A few stopped playing sports. Others switched to hybrid classes as much as possible. And we respected these decisions and still do. Everyone should have the freedom to make the decisions that are right for them. That is part of being a free-thinking, critically thinking human being. We do not think that this college should unnecessarily or certainly gratuitously take personal liberty from people without a compelling academic reason. In the end, when everything shook out in the fall of 2020, our students responded with their presence. We set record enrollment numbers for the fall semester. And with this approach, families must have agreed during the spring semester because our retention was better than it has ever been during my 16 years here. We had 1,865 students in the fall and almost that many this spring. We exceeded our retention goal by nearly 100 students. What we saw on campus is that students did not surrender or capitulate to COVID-19 by sheltering or being reclusive in their dorm rooms. They continued on with their education by powering through to continue on with their lives while being careful and smart. They were gritty and intelligent and self-directed. They certainly took COVID-19 seriously. They respected the virus, but they also decided not to put their life on hold. They found that nice balance between being careful, as I said, respecting the virus, but also moving forward with their life. We have had COVID-19 on this campus. We had an outbreak shortly after students arrived in the fall, and we immediately took precautions. We quelled the outbreak, and we brought the situation under control. We feel good about where we stand today. We've doubled down on testing this entire year. We've conducted over 12,200 tests on campus for students, faculty, and staff, costing the college over $300,000 in tests. But it's been worth every penny because the students have been able to stay here. Every student at Adrian can get a test for free anytime that they want from our regional medical clinic under the direction of an outstanding Dr. Emily Kist, who has been a godsend to this institution throughout this year. And so, like I said, we feel good about where we're at right now as an institution regarding COVID, and we feel good about getting through the end of the year without any more major outbreaks. This leads to the next part of this year's address, our budget and the financial impact that COVID-19 placed on our institution. In February of this year, Vice President of Business Affairs Jerry Wright reported to the Board of Trustees that shortly after COVID-19 broke out in America, Adrian College faced a $5 to $11 million revenue shortfall in our annual budget. This was devastating news for a small college with 40% first-generation students and only a healthy, albeit modest, $65 million endowment. Well, I'm happy to report that through careful planning, furloughs, voluntary pay reductions from the highest paid employees, expense reductions, and hundreds of other very, very difficult decisions, that we were able to not only wipe out the entire multi-million-dollar deficit, we actually ended fiscal year 2020 with an operating surplus. And I want to thank all members of the Adrian College community who participated in those reductions. This was an unimaginable crisis through no one's fault, and this is a time, we believe, for all of us to pull together for the good of the college and, most importantly, for the good of our students. These have been difficult times, but many people have come together to make this a great place, even during a pandemic. The bottom line, despite the challenges of the past year, Adrian College remains on strong financial footing. Let me repeat, Adrian College remains on strong financial footing. Our Board of Trustees agrees with this assessment. Our Finance Committee, our Audit Committee, and the Investment Committee reviews our financial situation 3 times annually. And as David Hickman, a trustee, said in a newspaper article dated September 27th, and I quote, "Adrian College is in a very sound position, financially and otherwise, and to suggest differently is simply inaccurate. Record enrollment, strong retention, flourishing graduate programs, and an overall cash position gives Adrian College a strong foundation to enjoy a long and successful future." Having said this, one should not assume that the long-term future of any college in this country, except for the very wealthiest with billions of dollars in their endowment, is secure under the current business model undergirding these institutions. Said differently, the long-term business model of higher education is broken. This is true for Adrian College and thousands of other institutions nationally. The biggest problem is cost of attendance. College has simply gotten too expensive for students, for families. People simply can't do it anymore. And those colleges that refuse to acknowledge this reality and do something about it will join a growing list of college closures over the next few years. Adrian College will not, repeat, not be one of those colleges. We have taken and will continue to take bold, courageous, and necessary steps to secure the financial future of this institution for at least the next 50 years. Some of these decisions will be difficult. There can be no doubt about that. But my responsibility, as charged by the trustees, is to protect and ensure the long-term financial health of this institution, and I will do what is necessary to fulfill this responsibility. There should be no doubt about that. We have made changes already and will continue to make changes in the years to come. And whereas I wish that we could just continue to do things as we have at Adrian for 162 years, we cannot. We must innovate and we must respond to the market and acknowledge what students want to study and respond in kind with our academic offerings. Every institution in America, inside and outside of education, has been forced to respond to the new realities of technology, a shrinking middle class, and increased competition. Higher education is no different, and we must respond. To deny this reality is to bank on hope that things will fix themselves. And as we all know, hope is not a plan. We are in the process of developing a plan with the input of trustees and faculty, alumni, students, and staff. We are currently planning for the College of the Future. The plan is still being prepared, and as I deliver this speech, we are still putting it together. But it will ultimately address and seek to solve a number of fundamental problems with the college business model as it stands in America. One of these problems, perhaps the most important problem, is the rising cost of earning a college degree. It must come down over the next several years. We must go beyond simply holding down tuition hikes. We must instead lower the cost of tuition dramatically, perhaps as much as 20 or 30% over the next several years if college is going to remain accessible to students, first-generation students in particular, students of color, and middle-class families who are just getting by and priced out of higher education more and more. A college degree is the single greatest thing we can earn to climb the ladder of social mobility, but it's out of hand for many people. We must focus on giving far more students this chance by making college more affordable. To give you an example of why this is so important, if Adrian College simply raises tuition, room, and board 3% each year, in the year 2042, Adrian College will cost over $100,000 a year. At this rate, only the wealthiest families in our country will be able to afford a college for their children. Very few other people. And we are in a school that takes pride in attracting students from all socioeconomic classes. And we are far from the most expensive school in the country, that's for sure. Some schools are already over $100,000. So as I said earlier, the business model of higher education is broken, and the unraveling has already started in earnest. You should know that in the past 5 years, 65 private colleges have closed in America. This is more than the previous 15 years combined. Change is not only necessary, it is inevitable. The only way to achieve the first goal of lowering tuition is to create a more efficient campus to teach, house, and feed students at a much lower cost. All colleges are incredibly expensive to run. So in order to do this, we are leading an effort to work with other private colleges throughout the country to start many new majors, minors, certificate programs at no cost or at low cost. This is the beginning of a new model. Majors will begin to pop up at Adrian that are not currently being offered. Majors that drive enrollment, majors that offer high-paying jobs, majors that students desperately want in a highly technical country that is changing faster than at any time in human history. But majors that would be too expensive for us to start on our own. Over the past 2 years, Adrian College has amassed 91 other colleges across the country to share classes in selected majors that will allow us to start new academic programs at virtually no upfront cost. We call this the Lower Cost Models Consortium, and it has already allowed us to start new majors and minors in supply chain management, public health, human resource management, professional sales, esports management, multimedia marketing, digital marketing and analytics, electrical engineering, and most recently, computer science under the direction of a very talented new faculty member on our campus, Professor Yasser Al-Ganahi. I want to commend the faculty for their cooperation in passing these new majors and minors through our faculty governance system. This has been huge, and it will begin to redefine not only Adrian College, but colleges throughout the country. And I also want to commend the faculty for pushing through new majors very, very soon in web design, actuarial science, emergency management, public administration, project management, and others. Yes, in the midst of a global pandemic, Adrian College passed 14 new academic programs at virtually no cost to the college simply by working with other selective colleges. This is groundbreaking for higher education in America, and there will be many more majors in the next few years. This is the College of the Future becoming very real. The College of the Future will also be built on the model that has served us so well for the past 16 years, leveraging athletics and co-curricular programs. This year we added men's rugby, women's rugby, and esports. And when you add new academic programs like the ones I just mentioned with new athletic programs that build on our existing model, you get a new college and you grow your college significantly. In addition, the College of the Future will be built on a much more robust set of graduate programs under the very capable leadership of Dean Christine Naggs. In recent years, we have added graduate programs in accountancy, athletic training, criminal justice, sports management, teacher education, business administration and healthcare, and higher education. And in coming years, we will add graduate programs in general business administration and finance, and business administration and managerial accounting. Some of these grad programs will be in person, others will be hybrid or fully online. All of them, repeat, all of them will be of outstanding quality and serve the employment needs our students and our economy wants. We've learned over the last 16 years that excellence matters a lot, and these programs will be excellent. And finally, the College of the Future will be grounded in 4 things that have sustained us for 162 years. Small classes, the on-campus 4-year experience, the autonomy of our college to make our own decisions, and the value of the liberal arts. All of these will be preserved with this new model. Now, on the fundraising front, I have good news to report. Vice President Mahoney and his staff have raised over $1.2 million specifically to help students whose families have been devastated by COVID. This year, we saved 290 students who would have been forced to move home if we couldn't help them out with additional dollars from donors. One donor in particular played a major role in this effort, Ms. Bette Goddard, who gave us a lead gift of $500,000 to challenge others to help these students. We met the challenge, and ultimately 357 donors contributed to help our students during this time of crisis. We sincerely thank all of you, and we trust that you have received a thank you note from a student you helped. We strive to create, as many of you know, a culture of gratitude here at Adrian College. So if you haven't gotten your thank you note, please let us know. In addition to scholarship support, our development office is on course to raise over $8.1 million this year. This would be a brand new record for our college and stand in contrast to the $1.9 million that we raised in 2005. These funds will help us in several important areas, including construction projects in which we will finally finish renovating and beautifying Mahan Hall with a new art gallery. Mahan is literally the last academic building on our campus that has not been built or renovated during this administration. We look forward to finishing the multi-million-dollar project very, very soon, hopefully this year, and to bookend all of our academic facilities. We also have received gifts to renovate Powell and Stevens Hall this summer. That will finish our freshman quad housing and make beautiful new bathrooms, lounges, and other accoutrements for all students moving in. Finally, funds are now raised and in the bank to continue to build the beautiful new entrance that was started a few years ago, and we created the new road coming in off of 223, Adrian College Boulevard. Visitors to campus will enjoy a wonderful view and landscape when they visit our campus, and obviously we hope all of you will come often. There are many other great things happening at Adrian College that may be less obvious than these major construction projects, but nonetheless very, very important. Greek life has been enhanced through an unbelievable effort by trustee Hal Kraft, who has worked with our sorority houses to upgrade kitchens and bathrooms, living quarters, and common areas. I hope our alumnus sorority sisters will come back to campus and see their renovated houses. We also hope that you will donate to these projects. Several fraternity houses have also seen upgrades over the past year, most notably Theta Chi, with several new beautiful renovations throughout the house. We believe that the College of the Future maintains a very strong Greek system, and I hope to see it grow in the years ahead. We also think it's important to mention that the college took steps this year to support mental health in our students. In addition to expanding our health center, our counseling center has also grown under Dr. Kist. We also decided to hold spring break. Most colleges canceled spring break, but we felt like kids needed a break from their classes. We competed in all of our sports so that our athletes could continue to do that. And we allowed students to stay on campus over spring break if they were concerned about bringing COVID home to parents or loved ones. And so these are practices that we will continue. You know, this generation of students has endured an innumerable number of disappointments, and we have done our level best to give these students the mental health breaks that I just mentioned. Competitive sports, Greek rush, research opportunity, and many other things have ensured their mental health and normalcy. We believe there is health in normalcy, rest in predictability, and joy in attending a college that has empathy for students and all that they've gone through for the past 13 months. And just for fun, we want you to know that twice this year, Adrian College athletes were highlighted on ESPN's Top 10 Plays of the Day. DeAndre Jennings in football and Kaylee Carteret in women's hockey. So check those out on YouTube if you haven't seen them. And this spring, our Ribbons of Excellence Day will be streamed virtually to everyone on and off campus so students can display their research opportunities and accomplishments throughout this year. And small construction projects occur throughout the year that maybe are less obvious. We've got a beautiful new music room in Spencer Hall. We have an enhanced third floor of Jones Hall, thanks to the generosity of trustee Jeff DeBest, and a new esports competition room in our library. We know that difficult and challenging years do not only build character, they reveal it. I want to personally thank everyone internally and externally at this college who looked at the circumstances that we were facing this year and did their part to be positive, constructive, and part of the solution for the good of our students in the college that we love. And speaking of students, each year we end the annual State of the College address with a heartfelt story from one of our incredible students. This year we asked Maggie Elliott, a senior student from Highland, Michigan, to share with you the difficult challenges she has overcome to stay strong, remain in college, and be a positive, contributing, awesome member of the student community. As you listen to Maggie's story, please know that she is just one of hundreds of students at this institution who quietly overcome very difficult barriers to ultimately earn a college degree. This is our singular goal at Adrian College, to be a place where all human beings can earn a degree, regardless of race, nationality, physical changes, socioeconomic class, background, skin color, or unnecessary prejudice, regardless of any of the other superficial distinctions that so many people use to divide people from each other. We seek to create an educational community grounded in mutual respect, kindness, openness to differences, success, and yes, love. There are many more things that are similar about human beings than are different. Let us focus on those things in an effort to create an understanding world, a common humanity. During these times of upheaval and social unrest, I hope we can all go back to the simple truth that we are all just people trying to do our best with the life that we have been given, traveling through space on a very small planet in a very large universe. Human beings filled with unimaginable levels of talent and capability, human beings that are broken and often fall short of the virtues that we value and hold dear. Let us, in the year ahead, continue to collectively build a great college while we search in our individual hearts to find the collective humanity in all of us to build a more kind and peaceful world. Thank you for the time you've given me today, and I now introduce you to Maggie Elliott.
My name is Maggie Elliott. This is my fourth year. I'm a senior here, and my major is business marketing. My mom and my aunt got in a car accident back in 2019. They got rear-ended, and it didn't seem to cause any issues until about a month later when the doctors had realized that my mom had 3 broken ribs and a collapsed lung. That was kind of when everything started to spiral downwards. We found out from those tests that they ran on her lungs that she had a mass in her lung, and it was found to be cancer. That was kind of the beginning of her struggle and our struggle as a family, but in a weird way it kind of brought us together. I guess after that point we were dealing with the family kind of figuring out how we were going to get mom to and from chemo. My dad and my brother would go with her on when she would go for her 8-hour chemo sessions. And I wasn't able to because obviously I'm a college student. But I got to FaceTime them, and that was nice. That was kind of a way to be there. And in a way, it kind of made us stronger as a family. Mom seemed very eager to fight. And that wasn't expected, honestly, but it was really nice to have that happen. After that diagnosis, we found out that my Aunt Patty wasn't in the best health shape herself. She had got diagnosed with cancer previously as well, so she passed later that year. It was right before summer hit that my Aunt Patty passed, and I felt horrible for my mom because she had to go through that. My Aunt Patty actually wanted us to have a get-together for her after her passing, so that's what they did. I was at this tournament in Texas for World Team Trials. Obviously my aunt's passing and not being with family was very hard, but I didn't expect it to be that hard. It was good to have the people that I had around when that happened. Having the support from my team and my coaches kind of pushed me through that one. Anyways, my dad was moving up at work at that point, and things seemed to be doing better. Mom was fighting cancer very well, actually. She didn't have most of the symptoms that they were originally associated with chemo and cancer. She did have to shave her head, and that was hard for her, but my dad kind of got us through that because he's a very reassuring person. My dad was moving up at work. He went from being on the line to being a skilled tradesman, and that was nice for everybody. It made us stronger. I will say, I guess it made us stronger. Soon after that, I had told them that I was staying at college for the summer because I had a job out here, and it was closer to the wrestling room and working out, and I was just getting ready for my next season. I had ended my sophomore season really well, and I wanted to keep the momentum going after I All-Americaned at that tournament in Texas. Unfortunately, in June, we had a wrestling camp, a women's wrestling camp, and I tore my ACL playing a game with the kids. Dealing with that and being, after being so eager to get to my junior year was difficult, but it was the summer and I felt like I had time, so I dealt with that and we signed up for surgery. After I tore my ACL, my mom got a call from the doctors explaining that her cancer wasn't getting worse, but it wasn't getting better either. So they then called for chemo and radiation. So after growing her hair back a bit, she had to shave it off, and we started again. July 30th, 2019, I got a call around 8 a.m. that my dad was in the hospital. For the most part, he was a healthy guy, so it was really a shocking thing to hear, but things seemed to be all right. The doctors, I guess, thought it might have been a heart attack at first, so my mom told me that I could come home or I could stay. I decided to come home because I missed my dad anyways, so on my way home, I got another call from my mom saying to pick up my brother from our house and head to the hospital. I didn't really get an answer on how he was doing, so obviously I was stressed. I got to the hospital, I got out of the car. I remember my mom saying, "Maggie, I'm so sorry. Your dad died." I just remember sitting on the floor screaming. That was the hardest day of my life. I felt like it wasn't fair. He was the rock of our family, and he was just gone. It was all very immediate. So I felt like I had to be the rock for the family. In the days following, I made the phone calls for the autopsy and the funeral home and to the friends and the family just to keep the weight off my mom. If it wasn't for the support system that I had at that moment, I don't think I would have came out of this as stable as I did. The first people to send me flowers were Mr. and Mrs. Docking, which was very surprising. So after this, I took my mom to her very first radiation appointment. This was something that was usually made for her and my dad. They kind of did that together. So I only felt it right for me to take her. And she still had that attitude that she was never gonna give up. And that gave me strength. A short time after the funeral, my coach called me and said that him and our athletic director, Mr. Duffy, were gonna come down and see me and see if they could help me in any way or my family in any way, and that was nice to hear. So my mom and my grandma and I went to meet them for coffee. This is when they kind of shocked me with the news that Miss Goddard had offered to fund my entire junior year. And that helped so much. That was like one less thing that we had to worry about during all of this other stuff that we had to worry about. Between the athletic director and my coach coming to see me and Mr. and Mrs. Docking being the first people to send me flowers, it kind of shows that people at Adrian College really care. And in a time like that, it was so impactful to me. So around August, I think I had my appointment for ACL surgery. This was the first surgery I had ever had. So I kind of thought I was gonna die. And I thought this because so many bad things were happening left and right. It just seemed like another bad thing was just gonna happen. Thankfully, I made it off the operating table. School started back up. It was my junior year. I had to deal with mom's cancer, dad's passing, and losing a season because of my torn ACL. Junior year was when I really saw that life must go on after death, and you know, the world keeps moving forward and you have to move forward with it. I had a lot of help from my friends at that point. My roommate, I remember Mackenzie would help me in and out of the shower because I couldn't get there because of my ACL, and it was important to have that support. I spent a lot of junior year recovering and kind of dealing with my emotions in different ways and being a part of the team by taking pictures instead of being on the mat. And that was at least a good distraction. As I was recovering from my ACL injury, obviously, as everybody knows, COVID-19 took over and the pandemic started. This was a bit of a blessing and a curse. It was the curse in obviously ways that people were losing lives. It was like just more tragedy, but not just for me, for everybody. It felt like the world was trying to pick off everyone that meant something to me, especially since my mom was immune compromised. So it was scary. Thankfully, we were able to avoid getting COVID, and it was a blessing in the way that I got that time between junior and senior year to recover from my ACL injury. After the COVID summer, I started my senior year and I got cleared to wrestle. I was practicing and doing all the right things, or so I thought I was doing all the right things, to get prepared for wrestling in whatever form they were going to allow us to during COVID. I went out to the first tournament, and in my very last match, I re-tore my ACL. That brought back a lot of feelings about everything that happened since I first tore my ACL. but thankfully the doctors reassured me that I was able to wrestle ACL deficit for the year. So I chose that. I chose to do that because that was any way to get on the mat. When I took that chance that I was getting to go back on the mat, one word came to mind, and it keeps coming to mind. Thankful. Nothing is promised, but I feel thankful for everything that's been given. That storm that blew through in 2019, it's still here. I kind of stopped hoping for the end of the storm, and I'm just hoping for the best. And I don't mean that in a tragic way. I mean that in a motivating way, because we're pushing forward. Right as I was beginning to take the mat again, my mom's cancer went into remission, and that was a blessing for everybody. Now we're in the month of February. Thankfully, no more chemo or radiation, but unfortunately my mom got pneumonia. And for someone with her immune compromised, immunocompromised self, it's hard. So she has been in the hospital for the majority of February and now the majority of March. She is fighting pneumonia and a blood infection. And I go home every few days to see my 16-year-old brother, Trent, as just to have dinners with him. And even now it's not easy, but it's not as hard as it was. Life is far from perfect, but I am thankful for the opportunities I have earned and the love and support that I was given. So thank you, my mom, and to my brother. I thought the weight of everything was on my shoulders, and we all share it, and that helps. I would like to say thank you to the rest of my family, because they're the village that supported us through all of this and made it a whole lot easier. I would like to say thank you to my friends for picking me up when I couldn't do it on my own, specifically Mackenzie, Taylor, Brady, thank you. Mara, thank you. Thank you, Cliff Kashard, my coach, for being a dad for me in all these years and just being there for me. I know over the past 4 years, I've compared him to my dad hundreds of times. Stay healthy, old man. Thank you to Mr. Duffy, Mr. and Mrs. Docking, and all of the professors at Adrian College. You guys showed me that you care, and Adrian College is more than just athletics and majors. It's about the people. The people here are good people. And thank you to Miss Goddard to making my life so much easier. In that time of need, you really took the hard things off my plate for at least a year. You're a wonderful woman, and when I met you, I could tell that you were ambitious and passionate. Finally, thank you, Dad. Thank you for the last 20 years. I wish it could have been more, but I'm thankful for every day that I got.